Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Monday Night Pod. My name is Jeremy Jacobowitz. I'm here with my tag team partner, Adam Welby.
Hey, yo.
And this is a podcast all about the Monday Night Wars, all about the battles between WWF Raw and WCW Nitro. Each and every single week, we go back in time. We re-review the episodes going head-to-head with the overall goal of trying to figure out who really should have won the Monday Night Wars. Adam, why should people listen to what we have to say?
On our podcast, we're allowed to go full stone cold and drink throughout it. Yes, that's true. Before, I was trying to keep my stuff together and show up to the show sober and stay sober throughout, but I guess we're past those days because who can deal with sobriety anymore? Definitely not Jake the Snake in the episode of Raw that we'll be talking about, according to King. Pretty messed up.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. That's a good reason, too. Also, we both used to work at WWE, worked in WWE Tape Library. Our job was to watch all of wrestling that is not on a network, will never be on a network, stuff going back to 1910s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. We've watched more wrestling than you. This is a wrestling nerd deep dive. If you've made it this far, you are a true fan.
Joining us now, you're a fan
What's that?
too. And if you're just joining us now, just as much.
You will be a true fan. So, usually if you're new here, we'd like to talk just a minute or two about current stuff. A depressing week in wrestling, that is an understatement. Any quick thoughts on all of the WWE releases?
Quick. I mean, there's a lot that weren't that surprising. My biggest thought, the biggest thing that stood out to me was that it's very not curious, but obvious to me why they have not released many women in this one. I think that it's very clear in today's American wrestling environment that AEW is way behind WWE in one division, and that's in their women's division. Not that AEW is as bad. There are people I like in it. A big fan of Chris Statlander, Big Swole, Dr. Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, but they're clearly behind WWE in that one. And so it's interesting to see them hang on to their female talent so tightly, having known that. And, with a lot of it, there's a couple of people who I'm like, oh, all right, that might be the last time we really see them. But there's other people who I think are going to really find their footing elsewhere. I think we've talked on the show about how big of a Rowan fan I've been for a long time, kind of alone on that hill, but I think he could go to Japan and be great. They love those kind of giant bruiser white guys over there, and who knows where Rusev's going to go, but I really, really hope that he doesn't pull a Stu Bennett and just kind of get out of the ring, because he has so much more to offer in the ring. Like I told you, my thoughts aren't that short. We could talk about a bunch of other people, Gallus and Anderson and whatnot, but yeah, it wasn't as sad as it was to see it happen. The only one who really surprised me maybe was Drake Maverick, because he's given so much of himself to that company to be something for them. And his video was just heartbreaking afterwards. But, it's got to try and stay positive and think of all these new opportunities that these people are going to have coming their way. Well, what do you think, Jeremy?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, while none of them seem shocking when you really think about it, obviously a lot of them were my favorite wrestlers. I mean, long-time Zack Ryder fan. Drake Maverick has been amazing. Rusev is amazing. But I think they all make sense. They were either people that were not going to be used. And remember, their guarantees are so little, and there's no house shows, and they're not going to be brought to Raw. They're not going to be making any money anyway. I know they can't book indie stuff now, but even looking short term, it sucks because this is their income, even if it wasn't going to be a little less. Long term, it obviously sucks. But I think in this weird middle term, it probably will help them. Who knows when things start opening up. But even by August, if WWE still can't run giant house shows, maybe these guys can at least start making indie appearances, and they could potentially make more money doing that than sitting at home doing nothing. And then the other ones that would make sense too are the guys that either had gigantic contracts that were too big, Gallus and Harrison, or Rusev, who I just think they didn't think was going to sign. He probably made it clear, I'm not signing with you guys. And they were just like, cut him loose. What's the difference? So I think we look at it that way. And so, yeah, again, the only one that was so shocking, Drake Maverick. I mean, he's in the goddamn NXT Cruiserweight Championship tournament. that's going to be
True.
going on for the next month that they filmed or whatever it is. Like, it seems very odd that they would let him go. I do have a scoop though, Adam.
Ooh, scoop.
I got a scoop because I am so good at the internet. Oh boy, I had the scoop. And what the fuck? Oh Jesus! Wait, stand by. I have a scoop on someone that was released that has not been talked about yet.
Is it not Chris Hero?
No,
Not
that's been
Casanova.
reported on.
Okay.
It is an NXT announcer. Oh geez. Oh my God. I'm not gonna remember her name now. Damn it. I will tease that to the end of the episode and I will find you her name. She's an NXT announcer that I know got released because if you look at her Instagram, everything's been wiped of her being a WWE announcer. And this is not made news yet. So I have breaking news for you. I just fucked up. I will find it.
I was gonna say, NXT announcer. As soon as I heard you say that, I was like, oh, it's another one who slipped into the Brunch Boys DMs. Huh? All right.
She did not tell me any insider knowledge. This is just me stalking people on Instagram. I put this one together.
Perfect.
So I will figure this out.
there are a couple. I mean, I thought Heath Slater would be one of those guys who's just around forever. It's just, whatever.
News,
now
Adam.
Get a shot. Oops.
Sorry, Adam, to interrupt you. I have breaking news here on who got released. This is not official. This is just from me snooping. But Alyssa Marino, who has never been on NXT TV, but has been filming stuff for NXT as an NXT backstage reporter. No mention of it in her handle anymore. Clear sign, and no mention of it in her bio. So there you go. A Monday Night Pod exclusive. Alyssa Marino, part of the layoffs also. Right here, only Monday Night Pod.
Feel free to come on Monday Night Pod and tell us your story. Then you could talk to Brunch Boys himself. Right there. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. And then current stuff. I just watched Dynamite this week. Enjoyed it.
Did you enjoy that main event?
I appreciated it. I wanted more out of it, but one of my favorite things about All Elite Wrestling is that it's not perfect. Is that I like that, like, things that they try different things and sometimes they work to an extent. Mox was great in the match. I liked Mox's a lot, and Hager held up his end of things, but like just having JR on there and announcing it in such a straight-laced way, and keeping it so like sport focused. And you know what I really loved? I really loved the build to the match the entire night, where they had like dudes from Bellator commenting, dudes from MMA and wrestling websites and blogs and stuff like that. Like, heck, you could have been one of those guys on there.
Well, that was going to play into part of my negatives on the show. Yes, for sure. I absolutely should have been asked to be a part of this pick and been a part of AEW Dynamite. It was bullshit that it wasn't. I think just what it proves is Jake Hager is not ready for this position. But on a positive note, the one thing we have to see is the Brady Bunch thing Jericho did, because that was he spilled the orange juice. I was like, what is this?
Bunch. I was laughing my ass off watching it. My wife was like sitting on the couch like, what are you enjoying about this? I'm like, this is the most brilliant fucking thing I've ever seen. The Inner Circle on FaceTime or whatever. Just touching back to Hager for a second, maybe his position at the top as a top guy, he's not that yet, but I like his position in the Inner Circle. I like him as a bruiser with some cred, someone who can go. There's a lot of cool stuff right now. A lot of weird stuff, a lot of interesting stuff. Wonder where this TNT title is going to end up. But man, I can't wait for there to be packed arenas again. It's going to be great. That first show, which clearly Vince is going to run.
Well, Florida will let him do whatever he wants. So
at this point, yeah, gave $18.5 million to the campaign. So there you go. Not him personally, people. I know that it's a super PAC that he and his wife run, and money's from the super PAC, not from them. I get it.
I was shocked that the XFL completely folds it, though.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a total
Because they did
drag.
such an amazing job and are such amazing people working it. It really was a separation from Vince this time, which seemed to work out very well for them. He kind of had, I'm sure he's in charge, he's the boss, but you didn't see or hear from him ever, which was sort of the point. So bummer on that note, but so lots of bummers. R.I.P. Howard Finkel.
We
But
met him in our days back in the WWE tape library. We did meet the Fink.
he was
Come back
there. He was
occasionally.
there recruiting for the softball team.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Really sweet guy. R.I.P. indeed. But you know what we could do, Jeremy? We could go back to a happier time in 1996 because we got a time machine.
Sure, let's do that, Adam. Let's go to July 29th, 1996. This is episode 170 of Raw. 170 of Raw, and we are once again taped from the Key Arena in Seattle, Washington. Vince opens the show preview for tonight, showing clips from last week. They debuting Farouk. He doesn't know what his name is, but we'll find out very, very shortly what his name is. And right into the first match. And it's Justin Hart and Bradshaw with Uncle Zebekiah versus Psycho Sid, the returning Psycho Sid. Match goes 1 minute. Matches this short, just easy to get through it. Basically, Sid comes out to you. The biggest can cheering I've ever heard in a wrestling match. Like literally like Hunter coming out at MSG level of like an ovation for Psycho Sid piped into the fucking show. Sid goes for choke slam, and then Bradshaw gets frustrated under a minute and hits him with a cowbell, causing the DQ.
Total non-match, but a great choke slam from Sid.
Yeah, I mean, even in the minute they're slapping this shit out of each other, I didn't really have an issue with this. I mean, I don't know why you have to protect Bradshaw that much, but he's a relatively new character. So it's not the end of it, but he isn't protected for that long because afterwards him and Uncle Zebekiah keep attacking Sid. So Sid powerbombs Bradshaw with one of the ugliest powerbombs ever. Like he barely gets him up and just fucking drops his ass. And then he powerbombs Zebekiah also.
Yeah, it's a jackknife powerbomb.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah, that's the reason people don't use that move anymore, I imagine. Just drop.
What? I mean, just him trying to get Bradshaw, but just fucking muscling him, like getting him a little high. He's like, oh, God damn it. Oh, he's gone.
Bradshaw's a big boy.
He is a big boy. I would not have tried for that spot at all. But,
no.
Yeah.
But,
so,
I mean he's big and powerful, that Psycho Sid. So it was a, good showing as far as like kind of just bringing him back in, balls to the wall. Here's this bruiser, but it's a non-match, and just like you said, 1 minute. So
barely a match. I'm okay with it.
Yep.
Next up, we go backstage to Sunny. She's with Farouk Assad. We get to hear his name, and Sunny says that they will take on Ahmed Johnson for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. I believe he hurt Farouk hurt Ahmed's kidneys last week. That's why he's not in the building.
Right. And and Farouk's still wearing his helmet. He's the modern day gladiator, which has that stupid helmet or whatever. And he had a line that he's going to be 15 pounds heavier or something because of the gold. I like that.
Yes, I thought that was a good line too.
Yeah.
Next up, it's Vader, Jim Cornette versus Marc Mero with Sable, of course. Match goes 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Mero comes off the top rope, and Vader turns it into a power slam for the win. Courtney was on commentary for this match. It's a match you would expect it to be. Mero's flying around the ring, and Vader hits his power move after power move.
Vader had this one move I really liked in it that was kind of like a flapjack, like power bomb almost. Mero's laying on the ground, and Vader like stands over him, like gut wrench, picks him up all the way, and then flapjacks him down or whatever. And it was pretty awesome. I was like, that's a cool move right there for a big power guy. And I kind of actually enjoyed the match.
I did too. I mean, it's still every week we're talking about this, but like the weird position of Marc Mero where he wrestles every single episode. He pretty much loses every single episode. The camera is never even on him. It's only on Sable. Yeah, and it's like, he just debuted a few months ago, and it just like they they positioned where it was, which is like, you're a worker, you're going to go work and you're going to lose, and then we're going to make Sable a star. It's interesting how quickly they came to that conclusion.
It is because he was a WCW guy.
No, I mean, the story goes by Bruce is that Vince didn't super understand that he wasn't getting the Johnny B. Bad character. Like, that's who Vince liked. He didn't really like Marc Mero. He liked the Johnny B. Bad character. So Marc Mero came in and like, that wasn't really who he was. And he clearly didn't really want to do that. Like, he had parts of it in the gimmick, but he was but it's a very different character. Vince just soured on him immediately. It was just like, fuck it. Like, he clearly had skill, but they were just like, he just completely was just like, I don't care anymore. Who is this?
Vince wanted the cartoon character version of him. Like, oh my God, did you see those Revival mock-up costumes that sound like it's legit? Because
I still don't know. I still don't know. I saw the Revival sort of hinted at it, but they could just be fucking with the internet too. Would any of that shock me? Absolutely not. But I'm not convinced that is 100, because it does look like something someone would just doodle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like it was like photoshopped over their photos in just like a terrible way. Like, oh man.
Although it looks like the same person that designed Shorty G's gear, so not shocking, I guess.
If only they had released Shorty G as well. If only he was free.
Not
that I want anyone to lose their jobs, but yeah, probably that. I'm surprised there wasn't more of a cleaning in NXT. Like, there was.
Well, those guys don't make, but again, those guys don't make any money. Same way NXT UK, like, their salaries are so low anyway. It didn't matter. It really was like, get those big contracts off the books, get the guys who are not going to sign anyway, and get the people that are completely useless to us, which is the Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder thing is silly to me. I mean, I know Zack lives in Orlando too. Like, he would have showed up in Raw every week and lost every week. It's very odd. I can see that. I could see him coming back immediately once things turn around. Because you have to remember, if the house show circuit really comes back the way it was, you need bodies. Especially if you're going to be running 3 of them, 4 of them sometimes.
I don't see Zack Ryder coming back that soon, though, after how long he was there and after them giving him the axe. And, I mean, how close he is with Cody, IRL.
Yeah, I mean, out of all the people I can see in AEW, I can honestly only really see him and Rusev going there. So I can see that, but it's also then how many, Tony Khan is a businessman. How many Sean Spears is Tony going to pay? Because listen, I love Zack Ryder, and I think Zack Ryder would be great working the young guys on Dark, honestly. And getting what they did as Zack was wrong was he had those peaks. His career should have been these peaks, because he's such a goddamn good character and really works hard. And then he could sort of like play around on the bottom mid card, the lower mid card, honestly. But they wouldn't even do that. They would give him these peaks and then have him off TV for 6 months, which never made any sense. And I could see that happen in AEW, which is. I wouldn't even make a big deal about him coming in. He could sort of have like a little Colt Cabana run. It's cool that he's here. See what he can do with a couple guys, and then mainly have him work younger, fun matches. I mean, that's the horribleness of his situation. Was there was a match between him and Santino Marella from 2008 something. It aired on Superstar, something like that. I should go do a deep dive and find this. And it was a comedy match. It was a pure comedy match that you do not see in WWE. Not Vince McMahon comedy, a true sort of Colt Cabana style comedy match. And I thought it was great. And that's the direction it should have gone with him, which is there's a place for everything on the show. And if you have a lower mid-card, fun feud, that's what a 24/7 title sort of was for a few months with it, but they never even really went all into that. But that's the idea of it. Like, it doesn't have to be serious all the time, especially guys that should never get in position as the top guy serious. Great, have them do fun stuff, have them have fun. I could see him doing that. But I could also see them saying, hey, listen, we're not going to use it for 6 months. We're not going to call it for a loan because, like, you're not a real employee, so we can't actually use that language. Sit tight, do your fucking podcast, play for toys, and we'll call you in December. I can see that being the case too.
I wonder if with him, maybe that like they didn't want to commit to like the halfway comedy thing because he looks like $1 million, because he looks like a main event guy. Like, he's just built that way, and he's big and all that. But I was going to say there's one other person I could see showing up in AEW and making a difference potentially, and that's EC3. Now he might go back to Impact. He might go to ROH. He's going to have options, but it's in some ways it's a no-brainer to put him with MJF, but at the same time they're so similar that maybe it would, not be beneficial for MJF to do that. Plus he's got
I can almost see them feuding. I can almost see them feuding in that like EC3 like actually is money and MJF is just pretending to be money. I can see that feud kind of being funny. Like they are the same but the opposite. So like they're so similar that they hate each other. I think that would be almost more fun.
I'd be into that. But yeah, I think he's gonna do some cool stuff. And of course, God, I can't wait to see what Rusev does. I love Rusev. Miroslav.
All right. Go back to 1996.
96, yeah. All right. We'll get off track again soon.
Here we go. Next up, we see clips from last week. Clarence Mason trying to get someone hired, a mystery man. Same clips we saw last week. Then Vince is in the ring.
Drug history.
What's that?
Clarence Mason. Apparently, his guy has a prior arrest for drugs on his record. We learned.
Drugs.
But okay. Yeah, drug possession. So could be.
That could be anybody then. That could be the whole goddamn roster.
Could be Vince.
Every
McMahon.
wrestler in history.
That's right.
Vince is in the ring with Corny and Jose Lothario. So remember that they were fighting at the free-for-all a few weeks back, and now they're having a confrontation face-to-face. Corny says that he found Jose, that he sort of digs up Jose's history. Jose has been training Sean, and that he's sort of like a nothing and nobody. He saw all Sean's success, and then came back to sort of ride the coattails of Shawn Michaels winning the WWF Championship. So he says that because he's so mad, Jose Lothario, he's going to get back at him by taking the title away from Sean and sending him back to Texas to be a nobody. So Jose grabs him, Corny goes after, and they sort of separate. Corny goes after him, and then Jose just punches him out.
Just jacks him right in the jaw. And you wonder, why isn't Shawn Michaels jumping in on this? Why isn't Shawn Michaels coming out to help Jose?
Well, he was busy.
As we're about to learn.
But it's a pretty fun segment. Corny was just like going off on Jose. I just pretty much stood there silent, taking it. I mean, he rips into him, destroys the legacy of Jose Lothario, and he doesn't have much of a comeback. So, but that's Corny.
Yeah, Jose just punches him. I mean, it's that thing where we're used to it in wrestling where the heel comes out and says a bunch of true statements and just burns a face until the face just punches him. But yes, this story's good.
Yeah. Speaking of Shawn Michaels, so we actually see him watching from backstage, and right before we go to commercial, we see Mankind attacking him, or just like on the ground, like with the mandible claw. We're like, what the fuck is going on? So come back from commercial, we see the full attack, Mankind attacking Shawn Michaels and locking on the mandible claw backstage.
I was hinting that Shawn Michaels, where was he? Because he was backstage getting mandible clawed by Mankind, who is squealing like a pig while he does the mandible claw, which is so great. It's so awesome.
Lots of little Mankind moments tonight, which is fun. And next up, we see footage of King losing to Aldo Montoya on Superstars last weekend. Aldo Montoya using a DDT to beat King, and this does not make King happy. We'll hear more about it. But the next match is British Bulldog with Owen Hart versus Henry O'Godwin with Hillbilly Jim. This match goes, get ready for it, folks, 7 minutes and 45 seconds. It ends when Owen was on commentary, but he gets up and dumps the slop bucket over. This distraction allows Bulldog to hit the running power slam on Henry O to win.
It's impressive seeing Bulldog do the running power slam on a guy of Henry O's size. And
those are the only 3 seconds of this match that impressed me then.
Well, this match is all it's all Owen's commentary. That's the whole thing to keep track of in this one. It's the only thing that's worth anything interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is they go backstage, Aldo, and King had challenged him, and he accepts King's challenge for a rematch next week. But yeah, just Owen talking as Bulldog has Henry O locked in on a fucking sleeper hold or some shit for minutes, just minutes, because why not? My only note was that sucked.
Not the best use of their time on television, as far as an exciting matchup goes.
Nope.
Bad was Aldo Montoya in the fake backstage listening to King Talk thing.
He looked nervous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think there's a reason they put a
Just
mask
incredible.
on him. Yeah. But then we see footage of Mark Henry deadlifting fucking 903 pounds. I believe that's an USA world record, or USA record, not USA world record, a US record for most deadlift. I just thought, fuck, that dude is a beast. Then we see footage from the international incident, Mankind cutting a promo backstage. This is all like sort of post-show on the VHS tape, exclusive kind of stuff. It's very weird. So he's like, Goldust is like lying on top of something, and Mankind is like in his arms, and they're like stroking each other. And Mankind is like clutching Goldust's wig, and he's calling out to mommy. It is one of the strangest things you will ever see in wrestling.
I like it. You're putting these two psychos together. That's money.
Psychos together.
They're both very different.
Yes, with a common objective, I guess, which is to take out the Undertaker.
It's what they would call them on like the D&D character sheets or whatever, like they're chaotic evil and chaotic neutral or something like that. I think what their character alignments are. It's good.
I don't know.
I like what they're coming together. Oh, don't you fucking get on your high horse when we're on our nerd podcast here. All nerdum is open here. All deep dive nerdum stuff is good to go here. So if I'm going to reference D&D character charts, you're going to go along with it, buddy.
I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying I don't understand any of that.
It's okay. It's all right. We'll talk offline.
Next up is the main event. It is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Undertaker with Paul Bearer, of course. Match goes 10 minutes. Mankind makes his way out to ringside. Taker sees him, goes right after him. So as Taker is chasing him away, they start like fighting. Taker chases him. The bell rings. You would kind of think DQ, but maybe it counts out only because Mankind didn't get any offense in. We're a little unsure, but then it said that Stone Cold is the winner via count out.
This wasn't a very exciting match. It was kind of a bummer, in my opinion, considering that it's Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker. Stone Cold does not get an entrance for this one.
Nope.
And it's all pretty standard. You know, there's nothing really that exciting to come out of this
I liked it better than that. I wouldn't say it's great. I mean, Austin and Taker never really had great matches. I think we saw the matchup a few weeks ago or months ago, whatever it was, and it being bad. I don't think this was bad. I think there's some fun spots. Like I liked when Taker goes to old school, so Austin just like shakes the ropes and Taker crotches himself. Thought that was fun. No one seems to do that in the 35-year history of The Undertaker.
Yeah.
So Austin is not in all black trunks. He did have a design on his butt, and it's standard def, so it took me a while to figure it out, but it literally just says Stone Cold and like a weird outline in the Texas Star. And then afterwards, Taker comes back in and hits a tombstone Austin, and like, I mean, he nearly killed Austin in this. Like I didn't slow it down or whatever, but like Austin's neck was very close to hitting, or his head was very close to hitting the mat. I was very nervous for that tombstone.
Scary. But that's not the one that broke Austin's neck, so we are good.
Okay. We are good. And then after match, Vince gets in the ring to talk to Taker about the Boiler Room Brawl he will have with Mankind at SummerSlam. And that's the way we go off the air.
Well, not an overall bad Raw.
I liked it. I don't know if there's like amazing moments to go back to see, but I kind of liked all the matches. The only match I didn't like was the British Bulldog Henry Godwin. I thought all the other ones sort of served their purpose and were good. The Vader Marc Mero match was really fun. The Bradshaw and Sid match was barely a match, but was good for what it was. It had good pacing, good story, building towards SummerSlam. I didn't really have huge complaints about the show. It really flew by.
We also know now that even though he's not necessarily up for a title shot, we know that like Mankind is existing in the space of the WWF Championship since he attacked Shawn Michaels. So that's kind of moving something forward like this. Yeah, you're right. Like overall, it's pretty good Raw. Pretty good.
I enjoyed
But
it.
can
That's 2 in a row.
Nitro? Yeah, can Nitro live up to that though?
We shall see, Adam, because we're going to go live to Orlando, Florida, the Disney MGM Studios for Nitro. Tony and Larry opened the show, of course. We see footage of, this is from WCW Saturday Night. It's footage of the Outsiders that they sort of like shot camcorder style themselves. Of them backstage stalking Sting Luger. Luger gets a quote unquote phone call, so he walks away, and the Outsiders beat the shit out of Sting. I thought it was really cool, really different, really unique stuff right there.
The WCW thing where they're like trying something new and trying to see like if they can make it interesting, trying to approach a similar thing that we've seen before, but in a new way. I'm into it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it real. It's not like, they were planning this attack and they first like went and grabbed a camera and a producer and an audio guy. They're like, we're going to attack, but like, we're going to shoot it ourselves because why would we let everyone else know about our plan? Which puts some reality into wrestling, which is nice to see sometimes.
It is.
And also, it also makes you think, well, was Luger in on it? Is he the fourth man? He just happened to have a phone call right at the moment, teasing who that fourth man is. So I think it worked on every single level.
There's a lot of curious stuff about a fourth man here. We'll hear a little bit more about that in a bit.
Quattro. Yes, our first match is Mike Enos versus Jim Duggan. Good God.
Oh, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, friend of the show, of course. Yeah, I say that, it doesn't sound great. And then I'm going to tell you, the match goes 7 minutes and 30 seconds, and it's even worse. Hacksaw tapes on his fist and punches out Enos for the win because, like every good face, he's going to cheat. Yeah, I mean, my only note is it's just the same stupid note as always, which is like the crowd is chanting USA, USA. Mike Enos is from America, so like.
Yeah, I mean, he's got like a bikery Texas-y kind of gimmick, like right. He's very USA, and I was just surprised that this is the match that they decide to start the show off with, because it's not exactly a barn burner. It's not like someone you're going to tell your buddy and, hey, Joe, Mike Enos versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan is on Nitro right now. Like, we got to.
And they're going to say, who's Mike Enos?
That's right.
And then they're going to say, Hacksaw's still wrestling? Yeah, it's odd. But Mean Gene gets in the ring afterwards, talk to Hacksaw, talk about the NWO. He questions what Hulk has done to everybody, especially the young kids. Very upset with Hulk Hogan.
It's about the Make-A-Wish kids that he's gone to the hospitals with.
I've gone with you to the Make-A-Wish. Oh!
It's an excellent, yeah. It's like I was watching it now. It's like our listeners had the
hey, tough guy.
Exactly that.
If you're watching on YouTube, you got the full experience of my Jim Duggan impression. Next up, it's a six-man that we were promised last week. It's Benoit, Flair, and Mongo with the women, Deborah and Liz, versus Lex Luger, Savage, and Sting. No Arn Anderson. Odd. Match goes 13 minutes.
We know why no Arn. We know why no Arn. We've been told by why no Arn on commentary. It's because Arn somehow has a WCW title match with the Giant tonight, if all goes according to plan.
He could still make his way out to ringside. It's just these little teases. Anyway, we'll just walk through it because there is a lot to get to. Big brawl to start as they all try and kill each other outside. Savage and Flair have a food fight at the VIP table, but then shit goes down. About 13 minutes in, Jimmy Hart runs out, yells that the Outsiders are in the back, and tells the cameraman he has to go back there right now. They continue wrestling the match, and Jimmy is ranting and raving, trying to stop the match so everyone could go in the back and help. Lex and Sting
the apron swinging, trying to swing his arms, trying to get everyone to stop and come back.
So Lex and Sting decide to leave and go in the back, and we go back there and we see Arn and Bagwell taken out with baseball bats. And then we get the classic moment of Ray coming out to try and save the day. Kevin Nash just fucking catching him and lawn darting him into the side of the trailer. Classic stuff. I mean, this is, I will preface this. This will be a lot to get through because it literally eats 30 minutes out of the show, almost more than that. So we go back to the ring, and it's the bell rings, and it's a double count out as the Outsiders drive away with Savage on top of the limo, which is the greatest image ever.
Yeah, he jumps on. He's got his full tassels on his pants, and he's holding on to, like, reaching through the sunroof of the window or of the limo. Yeah,
and for the rest of the night, the announcers are like, "We don't know where Savage is." Like, he didn't fly off. They drove off with him on top of the car.
Yeah, literally, they went around a corner, and that was it.
Anyway, so we come back from commercial. We still see everyone in the back screaming and crying. There are fire trucks everywhere. If you believe what Eric Bischoff says, he said that because of all this chaos, people actually called 911 to send police to the backstage area of WCW Disney because they thought a real assault happened. So the announcers are all quiet. We just sort of see everyone crying. Ray screaming out, "There were four of them. Quattro. They even removed Ray's mask to get him onto the stretcher. We're in like I'm flying through this. We're legit like minute 20 of this by the time this happens.
Woman is cradling Arn and just like weeping her eyes out. You could hear some chants from some from some people in the audience yelling, "Boring."
Oh, yeah. So by minute 20, the audience is yelling because they don't see any of this. There's no screens. We even go to the second hour. We'll get to this in 2 seconds. Basically, one thing is the show's in a frenzy because all those people were supposed to compete tonight. Marcus and what's his face? And his tag team partner.
Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Scotty Riggs.
Scotty Riggs was supposed to have a tag team championship match. Arn was supposed to have a title match, and Ray was supposed to defend his cruiserweight championship against Eddie. So all those guys have been taken out. So we start the second hour. Eric and Bobby join commentary. They are obviously visibly upset. Bobby says, hold on. I don't want to talk about, like, I need to talk to you for a second. Like, this is about wrestling. I have a neck injury. This job isn't worth it. If you can't get me protection, I got to leave. And Eric says that he can't, so Bobby leaves. So it's going to be 3-man booth for the rest of the show. Tony, Eric, and Larry. We go backstage again. This is when the fans especially start chanting, "Boring, boring, boring." Again, we're over 20 minutes into literally nothing happening. And they announce that there's going to be a bunch of standby matches. That's what's going on. I'm conflicted by this because on one hand, it is something I've never seen before. It is monumental. It is historic. It is awesome. On the other hand, watching 25 minutes of nothing happening is not great television.
I agree with you on all the points there. And not only is it not great television, you can clearly tell from the boring chants in the audience that it is not great live entertainment either. They can't
see anything. They're just sitting there. They literally have no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
I'm sure during commercial they yelled like, "Hey guys, this is the scene." But like when you're not there to experience women screaming and Ray yelling and Eddie looking shocked and everyone in tears and the fire trucks and the ambulances and the police and blah 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 blah, it certainly doesn't make for a great live experience either.
And it partially makes me wonder, like, when we get back to full arena matches one day, like, how do you mitigate or make people experience something like the Boneyard match or the Firefly Funhouse match again? You know, like that, like, what does that look like when there's a crowd of people waiting to experience your show?
Well, what it does is Kevin Dunn's favorite thing, which is to immediately take you out of every single moment and cut to the crowd watching on the big screen, which is the worst, I would say top 10 worst things WWE does, which is we're in this moment, we're watching whatever the scene is, we're there, and we cut to the audience staring at a TV like this. And it's just like, what the they're not even reacting. It's not like, oh my God, we got this amazing reaction in the audience, cut. It's just someone deaf stare like, oh. I'm like, yeah. I hate it. I hate it. Yeah. It is one of my biggest wrestling pet peeves. And it's not a wrestling pet peeve. It is a Kevin Dunn pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. Insane. I guess, like, could you imagine if they cut to that shot during the Firefly Funhouse match when Johnny Largemeat was like doing his reps on with his
I mean, listen, if they caught a little girl in the stands crying, maybe worth it. If they catch a 35-year-old man staring at a giant screen, not worth it.
That's the back of his head. Yeah.
Or when they get too crazy with it. I mean, they missed Edge's spear in the Royal Rumble because they had to get that crowd reaction. God damn it.
God, and it wasn't even like a specific crowd reaction. I remember too. It was like
That's
a
what I
wide
mean.
shot.
It was just like, cut to the crowd. Get the reaction. God damn it.
Damn it. Disgusting. Go to these disgusting people.
But anyway, so after all that, we get to our standby matches. And folks, these standby matches, well, it might be real that they're like supposed to be on the fly and weird, but they are on the fly and weird. First match is High Voltage versus the Steiners. Match goes 5 minutes. Scott hits like some wild fucking pile driver on, I'm not even gonna tell you which one it was because I have no idea, but he murders him and the Steiners win. When they're here, like Bischoff is like saying this is High Voltage's debut, but it was not. We've seen High Voltage on Nitro before. So.
I think maybe it's their debut in the second hour. Maybe just Bischoff wasn't on commentary for them or something. We've definitely seen them before, and they're totally power plant guys. But I liked them. I actually thought they had some like decent tag team spots, and I didn't hate what I was seeing with them.
I didn't hate. I just didn't care.
Right. I mean, it's those guys versus the Steiner brothers. Like, right. It's Robbie Rage and Kenny Chaos, by the way. BT Dubs.
Can you tell me who took the pinfall?
Ooh.
No,
I cannot because
it does not matter. Is my point.
Not only does it matter, but Wikipedia doesn't even have photos of them on their pages.
That's all you need to know. Next up, we go back to announcers as they continue to talk about the ongoing situation. But then, so remember, our matchup is supposed to be WCW Cruiserweight Championship match. Eddie Guerrero taking on Rey Mysterio Jr. Instead, Rey's replacement out of that whole locker room of talented folks, we get Big Bubba with Jimmy Hart. This match goes 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Jimmy has the ref distracted, and Bubba tries to use the mega horn or whatever. But he fails because he's Big Bubba, and Eddie is able to sunset flip him for the win.
An Eddie match overall, not a lot to pick out from here. And even though, as I've said, Big Bubba is a guy who knows how to work and could put on a good match. Like, just something about these two guys, like their chemistry wasn't on. It wasn't working. It
seemed like, well, it's one of these things where on a real level, I guess this whole show is really about the real part of wrestling and the quote-unquote real part of wrestling. Because in the real match, if you're taking this seriously, Eddie wants to be a high flyer, fast, spin around Big Bubba and get him off his feet, I guess. Big Bubba, to counter that, will want to slow it down. So what does he do? He locks Eddie in sleeper holds to try to slow it down. So it makes sense on a real level. But it doesn't make for a good match. It just makes for a match. And just like let's get to the end of this fucking thing. Maybe if it was 5 minutes of that, I could be okay with it. When it's close to 11 minutes for some shitty finish, not okay with it.
Yeah, just makes it 17 minutes of Nitro.
Well, especially
not 17, 7 minutes.
Especially knowing what we could have gotten, which is Eddie and Rey, who potentially had the greatest match in WCW history a year later or so, and say we get this. So it just made it feel even worse.
Right. Well, luckily for us, we're moving on to some awesome things.
Yeah, so next up, we have more history making in WCW. We get the first ever NWO Black and White promo. If you don't know what that is, I can't help you because I don't know why you're listening to this. If you don't know what that means, you should have been listening to this podcast. My sort of notes on this were... Right, yeah, exactly. Because remember, like, they would just get airtime, which, again, like, this whole Bischoff is really, like, this is real. They treated almost every part of the show as real. Anyway, interesting for me is, I mean, they're talking about the matches at Hawk Wild. It's a big sell job for that, which is great. Still sort of keying in on the Hogan character. I know I spoke about this last week or 2 weeks ago, which is, like, he still's not Hollywood. I mean, he's not Hollywood Hogan at all, but he still isn't even that Hollywood Hogan vibe. He's very much
like Hollywood Hogan on the show, though.
What's that?
They do refer to him as Hollywood Hogan on this show, though.
They do? I didn't pick that up. But, like, he wasn't there in terms of looks or vibe or promo. Right. Like, he's very much like what he thinks a heel would be, which is still just like yelling and screaming and blah, 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 and like hysterically laughing like an evil person. Like, he didn't have this character down yet. He's still trying to find truly Hollywood Hogan, quote unquote. Which I sort of enjoy. But history, right there.
It was a history. It was good. There's a reason that WCW was on top for so long, and why NWO was like a way of life back then, man. NWO was so incredibly over, and like these paid for by NWO Black and White segments were a huge part of that. It was, it really is cool seeing it start right here. We get Hogan talking about that. We also get Hall and Nash talking about they lay down a challenge for Hog Wild to
Sting and Luger.
Sting and Luger. It's good stuff, man. They hint a little bit about a fourth man, but that's not what this promo is about.
Right. They're like, it could be anyone. It could be someone within a Turner organization.
That's right. Yeah.
Good stuff there. Next
Could
up.
be another outsider, they like to say.
Another outsider. Ooh, who could it be? Next up is our main event. It is the WCW Championship Match. Once again, this is a replacement. Arn, maybe he shouldn't have deserved the championship match, but his longevity, and he's a vet, and he's an all-time great. You could slot him in there. So, who will Giant be facing tonight? Why, Greg Valentine, of course, because he deserves a title shot because he's there, and I don't know, he's a body.
Yeah, but you know what I liked was I like the announcers at least like really sold this out of nowhere opportunity for a veteran of the game like Greg Valentine. Like the announcers did a good job of like sort of selling that like, hey, yeah, he didn't like necessarily deserve this, but it's exciting that it's that way,
Sure. Match goes 1 minute and 45 seconds. Wasted opportunity. Greg Valentine. Valentine gets a little bit of offense in, but tries to chop him down, and Giant just fight him off. Greg Valentine goes to the second turnbuckle, and Giant just is like, fuck this. Choke slams him from the second turnbuckle, rages, hits another choke slam, and pins him for the win. Afterwards, Mean Gene gets in the ring to interview Giant and Jimmy. Giant does a pretty good Hulk Hogan impersonation, which we'll see him do years and years later in WWE. And Mean Gene's like, oh, what are you doing? And Giant, his whole point was, which is very savvy, that it's so easy to fall into the Hogan con. He cons America forever. I thought Giant was great there. Seeing how far he's gotten on in promo in less than a year is really great. He came from just like yell weird things, monster, to like cutting a pretty good promo here. I thought it was interesting.
Real, I mean, he's one of the all-time greats when it comes to their rookie year. If you look at like people who should be remembered for their all-time greatness in their rookie years.
It's cool to see that happen.
Why don't you tell me that again, Adam? Because I didn't hear any word you were saying.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I think my headphones knocked out. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. What were we saying?
I was saying that the Giant is up there with all-time greats as far as it goes with their rookie year. And you got to think about who those people entail. That's the Giant. That's Kurt Angle. And even though we're kind of mad at her right now, that's Ronda Rousey. That's like,
I'm not mad at her.
I know. Well, not you and me, but the
internet
collective
world.
we seems to be pretty mad at Ronda Rousey at the moment.
Right.
But
yeah,
that's so, just like I was saying, the Giant had one of those, career. What's happening? What is it? Can you still hear me? Sorry, I get a ton of messages flying up.
Apocalypse. But yeah.
Tell your computer, hold on, Adam. We're so close to the end, Adam. Beg your computer to hold on.
Who else do you think, Jeremy, had a like an all-time great rookie year? Rusev?
Yeah, Rusev had a good year, but I mean, he was just sort of on that like win streak. I mean, Goldberg.
Yeah.
Goldberg was undefeated and won the title, and he debuted fall in '97, and by June of '98, he was the world champion.
Yeah. So, yeah, guys, listeners, write in. Let us know. Who did we forget that had a banner year for their debut, for their rookie year? Who's are we leaving off the list here? Vladimir Kozlov, perhaps? No, I'm kidding. But
True.
Yeah, so that's Nitro.
That is Nitro. Let me get to the ratings, and then we'll talk about it because the ratings are no surprise anymore.
Okay.
Nitro, of course, wins. Nitro got a 3.1. Raw got a 2.1. Up much bigger. I believe last week it was much closer than that. So
Yeah.
Nitro sort of pulling ahead a touch. I was conflicted this week because here are my thoughts. Nitro had two historic, monumental moments. If I was going to tell you to watch anything this week, I would say go back to Nitro, watch the Outsiders destroy everybody, watch the Fallout, watch the NWO promo. But if I were to look at both shows, I enjoyed Raw more. I think beyond those two segments of Nitro, which granted took up a ton of time, everything else was very shitty. Where I think Raw just sort of felt like a better show. It's this weird thing where historically, of course, Raw meant fucking nothing. But in the moment of that night, you got to, I don't know necessarily how to look at it. I think if we were watching it that night, I'm conflicted on this one.
I'm with you on this one. I think I agree. I like overall for the way that it flowed, for the way that it moved, for the way that people got featured, I liked Raw better. I think we can give the Monday Night Pod victory this week to Monday Night Pod. But if you're looking to like go back and watch any wrestling that matters, to like get into your history, to see when some games were changed to be real here, especially with the paid for by NWO commercial. I mean, that was a total game changer. If you're looking for that, then it's a no-brainer that Nitro is the one to go back and check out. But I think we can give Raw our award for this week so that our listener who is doing the great work for us of totaling these numbers should chalk one up in the Raw victory column, unless you disagree with me on that.
I think after watching both shows, I thought Raw was better. Even though, like, I'm conflicted, I sort of agree. I watched them back to back, and I was just like, there was just nothing else on Nitro. Just nothing. And, you know, maybe if you had an hour show, Bischoff, this is your fault. If you kept all wrestling at 1 hour, I would be a much happier person on every single level. But you decided to go to 2 hours, and then you decided to go to 3 hours, and you ruined wrestling forever. But yeah.
It's all, that's right. That controversy did not create cash.
Well, he blames the Turner execs and whatever. Yeah, all right. Well, that was Monday Night Wars for that week. If you made it this far.
For July 29th, 1996.
There you go. If you made it this far, you're a legend. If you made it this far, maybe you should go to our YouTube. Well, maybe you might be watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube or you want to go to our YouTube, make sure to subscribe over there. Like this video, comment below. Let us know your thoughts on this episode. Who you think should have won the Monday Night Wars tonight. If you have more thoughts about that, you could tweet us at Monday Night Pod. You could send us a DM on Monday Night Pod on Instagram. We have a Facebook group, Monday Night Pod. You can email us at info@mondaynightpod.com. Wherever you're listening to this on the podcasting world, if you are, make sure to follow and subscribe. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. That would be amazing. Share this with your friends. And, you know, wrestling was rough this week, and we hope that we brought you a little bit of joy to begin this new wrestling week.
Absolutely. Let's get in with a clean slate. Let's be excited about what's moving forward here, and let's create some fun new content.
There it is. I think it's a good way to end it, Adam. So on that note, bye guys.